Hola, buen día a todos. Muse Medicina here. Get right to it. I hope you're having a wonderful new year. It's been challenging AF for me. But one of my besties said that she thinks January is like the liminal time when all of your calling in and releasing from December is like acclimating. So it makes sense that we're all kind of like, okay. Question I received from a human said that they had caught a cold 3 weeks ago and then it turned into a stomach virus, and they said, what can I take? So the reason I'm making a video, and I usually make videos when people ask me questions because there's no simple answer, and that's a really unfortunate truth about Western culture, is they've created this idea that there's a quick fix, and there's no quick fix. There's never a quick fix. There are things that can really help symptomology abundantly that we can access if we have the tools to access them, but there is no quick fix. So we need to start by unpacking that culture. What can I take for this? So that leads me into, I know the title of this video was what not to do. And I've done this before, but I'm gonna do it again. In wise woman tradition, which is kind of like just old time way, whenever you get something, first thing you do is you just wait for like a few days, right? Because if it's like a skin thing or something, it'll go away. A cold is a little different because you like know when you catch a cold. So I'm a healthcare practitioner, holistic, right? So we do a lot of preventative medicine. So first things first, prevent the cold invasion. In Chinese medicine, we see, or even in like old times, like what my grandma said, you get that mal aire, you get bad air. And it's the same in Chinese medicine, you get an exterior wind invasion. The exterior wind invasion can be a heat invasion or a cold invasion, and it can enter your body in many different places, but the main one it enters is right in the back, right here-ish. That's called the wind gate or the feng men. So you always want to wear scarves in the wintertime, so you don't get the aire, get the frío, the cold that enters you. The first thing you can do when a cold enters you, my love, baby just woke up. Thank you. The first thing you can do when cold enters you is get as hot as possible, as quickly as possible. So there's a little remedy that you can do, but with ginger and the tails of white onions that are like little hairy. You cut those off, a little baby handful, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a quarter-sized pieces of ginger, same amount. Put them in a little saucepan of water and boil it, and then bring to a simmer for like no more than 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Then drink that as hot as you can. What that will do is make you sweat, and the sweating will push out the external invasion. So your own body sweat from drinking tea that makes you sweat pushes out external invasion. So that's the first thing you can do when you first suspect that you're going to get sick. And that should help. Then you want to get in the hottest bath you can, or the hottest shower. And if you don't have that, put sweats on. You got to sweat it out. This is not sweating it out from a like make your muscles move and exercise sweat, because according to at least Chinese medicine theory, that can push the pathogen deeper into your muscle layer. There are different layers in our body. So the external invasion is the exterior layer, the wei qi, the defensive qi. So you want to that out with tea. So tea does a few other things. Most teas that are made with hierbas, herbs, are pretty much all that I've encountered. I actually can't think of an herb that isn't naturally antiviral and antibacterial. Planta medicina is muy buena, like fucking good. Plant medicine, the plant friends are the homies of life, okay? So there are so many different ones, like a good, like ginger, just like we said, ginger's warming in the cold, it'll push it out. Onion will push it out. Lemon balm is coming up for me right now, Melissa officinalis. It's antiviral, antibacterial, also has lithium in it, so it calms you. That's a really good one. There's if you go to the store, you can get the Siete Azares one, which is like the blossom tea, and blossoms have the energy of blooming, right? So blooming is, again, an outward motion, moves things out. So you can just start hauling tea. The other thing that does is gives you water. water is necessary for us to move things through. So any kind of pathogen that we come in contact with need water. Now, in Western society, we're probably all a little dehydrated because we don't value drinking water enough, and we have soda and we have God knows what else, Gatorade, that they try to make. Have you guys seen The Water Boy? They try to make Gatorade more important. It's like, water sucks. Gatorade is better. Gatorade. And he gets all mad about it. Be that guy and drink your water. Be the water boy / girl, because water is going to help you move through it. Water is going to infuse your cells with hydration that will help your cells do this better and move. And when our bodies are in movement, we're going to help move out. Again, you don't want to move too much at the beginning of an exterior invasion because you don't want to push the pathogen deeper with your own creation of muscular sweat stuff. Okay, now here comes the other thing. When we get sick, especially in American society, it is not really about what we can take to get rid of the illness. It's about not feeding the illness with what we do take in. So I say this to all my patients pretty much in any kind of a situation, from cancer to exterior invasion. You want to cut out the standard American diet, which includes pastas, breads, processed foods, processed sugars, fried foods, greasy foods, just sugar in general. Even too much honey, which is natural, good raw honey, can feed a pathogen. So oftentimes, especially I've noticed this with my baby, the 1.5 times he had a little fever, he doesn't want to eat besides breast milk, no food. Food feeds the pathogen. If you've heard the phrase starve the fever, that means that whatever kind of pathogen is going on will eat your sugar intake, your fat intake, etc. So there's an idea of fasting when you're sick. I wouldn't go so far as fasting because we do need help by nutrition. But cutting out processed foods, processed sugars, breads, cheeses, pastas, dairy, greasy foods, spicy foods, anything that is thick and rich. So like Mexican diet, like what I grew up eating, which is like a Mexican American kind of foods with beans and rice that were fried, like refried rice that my grandma made, refried beans, tortillas, chile picoso, but like with all that heavy greasy stuff, right? Or hamburgers, a lot of meat, especially American meat that's made in those horrible meat factories, is really high in inflammatory agents. So you want to cut down on inflammatory foods, which the standard American diet is. So when I'm sick, I like to eat a lot of raw carrots and celery. That's like my own personal joy place. I love raw carrots and celery, but also steamed vegetables. So if you, hi, oh, he's so cute. So if you steam a whole, like pretty much anything, a potato, even though potatoes are a little starchy, they're an iffy food, but if you need that, like if you're addicted to bread and you need that starchy something, a potato is a good place to start. Sweet potato, beets are wonderful. Pretty much any kind of vegetable you can get. If you can make just vegetable broth, it's going to be bland AF. That's going to be good for you. I also like to go get pho. The rice noodles can be a little starchy, but the broth is great. So broths are super, super duper good. Hola, querido mío. He's a crawling, almost walking baby now. So yeah, it's not really about what you do, like what can I take? It's what you kind of cut out of your diet that'll help the sickness go faster. So there are also Chinese herbs you can take. It's different. There are different diagnoses like wind heat or wind cold, and if your symptoms are in your throat versus your nose versus your chest, etc. So I'm not going to go into that, but there in Denver, there is a Chinese medicine store on Colfax and York called the Yan Jing Supply Store, and all of the people who work there are also Chinese medicine practitioners. So you can go in there and be like, yo, these are my symptoms, and they can make you a raw herb formula, a powder herb formula, and they have patent medications that you can take in droppers or pills that can help you move through the cold faster. A simple Google search will tell you where the Chinese medicine school and or apothecary is in your place. And those kinds of things really, really help. So that's also a resource you can move into. Look at this baby. Good morning. Say good morning. Yeah, I'm glad that you've been there after your acupuncture appointment. It's a really great place to be. Okay, so Chinese medicine. But again, if you don't have access to that or you live far away, simply really highly dosing yourself with flower teas, with plant medicine that calls to you. It's also really simple. You can't OD on this stuff. You might feel a little certain way. You might have to pee a lot from drinking a lot, but it's not going to cause you to like vomit and pass out like a lot of pharmaceuticals will. So that brings me to immunosuppressants. Immunosuppressants are over-the-counter drugs for colds and flu. Our immune systems are supposed to do work. Okay, we're supposed to get fevers. We're supposed to get sick here and there, querido? And it might suck. It really might suck. But if we take immunosuppressants, what we are literally doing is suppressing the immune system, so your immune system can't do the job. So what started as a little cold might turn into a 3-week, 4-week, month and a half, or lifelong, literally, illness, low-grade illness, if you're constantly taking over-the-counter medications to suppress it. Now, if you get so sick and you're so miserable that you can't sleep, personally, I am a big fan of Alka-Seltzer Plus. Like, I don't know, my mom used to take that. They had the commercials when she was a kid that's like plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. And so we were raised on that. So it's kind of a home medicine to me. I'm not completely anti-big pharma, but I am pro agency. I'm an agency advocate. I want you to be well versed in what you can do to help yourself right now. And a lot of us aren't. So I'm a big fan of taking a little bit of a helper, aka a sleep aid at night, like if your cough is keeping you up and you can't sleep. But don't dose up for all day, because then your immune system doesn't have a chance to do its job. Okay, so immunosuppressants. What else? I have a little notebook, but I have to put this down because my son is crawling on me. Oops. Foods. Okay, so this one says, sweet foods, sugars. Sugars will feed the out of all of your inflammatory illnesses, no matter what they are. Turn into phlegm in the body. Pathogens eat sugar. Cancer cells eat sugar. So the more sugar you eat, the worse off you'll be in general. You need to cut out the sugar to be well. Immunosuppressants, we went over that. Water, drink all the water, we went over that. Cut out all the inflammatory foods, eat steamed vegetables, and even fruits can be super intense because they have so much sugar in them sometimes. So no sugar, less sugar. All right, so this is saying that the virus went from like an external invasion into a stomach virus. That happens a lot. In Chinese medicine, they explain it by the different levels. So it's like Taiyang going to Yang Ming. That might not mean a lot to a lot of you, but it's like from external going internal. So the way I would deal with that is, again, going to the Chinese medicine store and seeing if someone can help you by giving you an herbal prescription for your specific symptoms, or just dosing high on those teas and bland alkaline vegetables. So the other thing, and I always have to talk about this, when we get sick, there's a spiritual component. There's always a spiritual component. When you have an external invasion, when something invades, my son growls. When something invades, it means that there was a permeability, there was a vulnerability there. So what are you vulnerable from? Why are you vulnerable? What are you doing in your life that is creating a space for you to be sick? What do you need? Do you need rest? Sometimes a sickness comes as a gift because you're going and you won't rest. So your body's like, yo, it's time to rest. So you need to check in on that. Again, in Wise Women tradition, there are 3 questions for any illness, anything, even an injury, that you want to ask. What is this trying to teach me? How can this be my ally? And what is this preventing me from having to do? So I know people who get sick because they hate their job. you know, they don't want to go. So they're like, oh, well, if I'm just constantly ill. I've treated people who receive disability, and their livelihood literally depends on their illness, and they don't get well because there's an unconscious thing there, reason. Yeah. So if you think about like an external invasion from like your lungs, a cough, lungs have to do with grief. Like, what is it you're not trying to see? What is your grief trying to express? A stomach thing is yes, baby. A stomach thing is a nurturance thing. What you eat, what you receive into your body. What are you receiving into your body, and is it good for you on a food level, on an emotional level? Are you in a toxic relationship that is just overdriving you? So there's a lot there. So someone asked if I could talk about fevers. Hi, Aubrey. Fevers are your body's your body's immune system trying to release.
I got a blanket up.
He's got a blanket up. Your body's immune system trying to kill the pathogen. So your fever is actually your immune system trying to help you. So you don't want to kill your fever right away. Like there it can be really dangerous if it gets like above 103, 4, 5. But until then, you should be good. I usually I really like homeopathics that can help. The Byronia is the one that's like they call the grumpy bear that helps quell a fever. But you want to let it run for at least 24 hours so that it can help kill the pathogen. One of the things my mentor taught me, that I've done a how-to video on my Patreon, and I'll put this on my Patreon after. My God, my child melts me. I'm sorry if I keep getting distracted.
Sorry, Daddy hurt his back.
One of the things my mentor taught me is if it's a high fever from heat stroke or like an infantile fever where you're like, oh, this can be really dangerous and turn into epilepsy and stuff, you take a quarter, like a money quarter, and you put it along the spine, like that, hard enough to create a welt. The dew meridian, or that runs along the spine, is a very yang, a very heat-oriented meridian. So when you move a quarter down the spine, it opens it. With the welt is a place that the heat can leave. So I've seen that in real time, take a fever down 2 degrees like that. So if that's something that's helpful for you. So a fever is actually your friend. Again, you will help to starve the pathogen by not feeding it sugar, etc. Okay, so it's also hard. Like sometimes sickness is like for you to be like, oh, what am I doing? So I got food poisoning the first time in my life a couple months ago. Luckily, baby didn't get it. Me and my man got it at the same time. And when I was like at 4 a.m. completely depleted after having puked and shit everything out of my body and kind of hallucinating, I got some really strong messages from my guides that helped me in my full life. But it was like making me get that ill to listen. So what do you need to listen to? What are you not doing that your intuition is telling you? What are you doing? Yeah. Does anybody have any more questions before I end this video? Any more questions? All right, so thank you for watching. My PayPal is eutimia@gmail.com. My Cash App is Muse Medicina, and my Venmo is Eutimia-Montoya. Please go ahead and reciprocate me for this knowledge that is very helpful for you. Share it, pass it along. We are in a process, everyone, of reclaiming our agency, reclaiming our own personal autonomy from the medical industrial complex, so that we can actually help ourselves. We're in the process of reconnecting to our indigenous medicines, to our ancestries, to our plant ancestors, our plantcestors, so that we can actually really connect to ourselves and help ourselves. So if this was helpful to you, please share it along. Go ahead and donate. Eutimia@gmail.com, PayPal, Cash App Muse Medicina, and Eutimia-Montoya at Venmo. And I'm going to feed my son his good chichi milk for his immune system right now. Okay, many blessings. Bye.